I want to express my greetings to Buddhist brothers, sisters. Actually, we, the follower or practitioner of same tradition, Nalanda Sanskrit tradition. So now differences, Pali tradition, very much based on Buddha's own word. The Sanskrit tradition, on that basis, investigate, analyze. So, Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, extensively use reasoning and investigate. And then some of the Nalanda master, such as Nagarjuna and Buddhapalita, Chandakirti, now these great masters, scholars of Nalanda, you see, they, through investigation, even you see some Buddha's teaching, according to the particular audience, you see some Buddha's teaching, you see, through reasoning, we cannot accept. So, even Buddha's own word, you see, through reasoning, rejection. So Buddha himself, you see, told us, oh my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. So now, like quantum physics, you see, here one little sort of strange story. When I discuss with scientists, mainly Western scientists, about quantum physics, when they explain, I sort of listen humbly, but in my mind, I feel I know better. One my Indian friend, great scholar, scientist, late Rajaramana, he once told me, quantum physics in the West, something new, but in this country, 2,500 years ago, already developed. And he recite few sentences of Nagarjuna. As you know, Buddha, after he enlightened, this is first his teaching at Sanat. That recorded in Pali tradition, in Pali language. The Kasa, Tripitaka, Lavasum, Tisu, Yigdol Koshavadi, Tenusum. So that is the Pali tradition, very basis of Buddha's teaching. Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and then also you see China, Vietnam, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Tibet, all these Buddhist countries, the monkhood, nuns, you see that is the foundation of Buddha Dharma. He himself, as a son of a king, he renounced, and he remained lonely, and 6 years meditation, and then he became Buddha, and his main holder of Buddha Dharma is the ordained monks, nuns. However, once in Delhi, I met some scholars from Thailand and Bangkok Buddhist University. I have been there. So some scholar from Bangkok Buddhist universities come here, come Delhi. We discuss. And all say like Four Noble Truths and 16 kasa. Denshin Meda Sochuru, any Changzhou Sodun, Shingrba. We discuss. These are our common practice. Then I ask, see, do you sort of carry these teaching mainly basis of Buddha's own word or through reasoning? Then they say Buddha's word. Then immediately I felt the Nalanda tradition, every point Buddha taught, we use reason. So at that time, at that very moment, I reflect the Dignak and Dharmakirti in their writing, these Four Noble Truths. Each point explained through reasoning. So as I mentioned earlier, those great masters of Nalanda, they make a distinction, Buddha's own word, such Buddhist teaching we can accept because there is sufficient reason. A certain Buddhist teaching we cannot accept because it against reason, like that. So therefore, the Nalanda tradition extensively use reasoning. Now look today's world. So many violence. Violence means human being killing another human being. According to Christianity, that's a big contradiction. We all created by one God, according to Christianity. And then I think most of the religion, theistic religion, they accept God. So God, creator. So from their viewpoint, we all created by one God. That God almost like our Father. So all 7 billion human beings actually from one Father. That's God. So entire human being are actually brothers, sisters from one Father. Meantime, we are killing, bully each other. So I respect all religion because I committed promotion of religious harmony. But then it quite clearly shows this 1,000-year-old theistic religion, I think, failed. Just lip service, God, 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 God. But in reality, too much emphasis, we and they, in killing. So, now, Buddha Dharma is no creator, no God creator. Buddha, just like our teacher, Buddha himself used to express, Buddha cannot sort of wash our sin or negative emotion, nor Buddha cannot remove suffering, and Buddha cannot transfer his own inner quality. Then, how to serve sentient being, how to help sentient being? Only teaching make clear about inner quality, about inner emotion, such as compassion. These inner emotion is useful, very important, because it's a destroyer of our happiness, our inner peace is anger. So, you see, the real way helping sentient being by Buddha through teaching, not through miracle power. All major religions, you see, mainly through faith. God, 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 Allah, Allah, like that. Now, Indian tradition, and particularly Buddhist tradition, try to transform our inner emotion through, not through prayer, but through reasoning. That is something unique. But that also, you see, Nalanda tradition extensively use investigation. So we follow of Nalanda tradition. Sometimes people call Mahayana and Hinayana. That word I don't like. You see, that creates impression, Mahayana higher, Hinayana lower. No. The Theravada tradition is the foundation of Buddha Dharma. Usually we call Hinayana. Then Sanskrit tradition, Mahayana, something higher. No. The very basis of Pali tradition. Then the differences extensively uses reason. That is Sanskrit tradition, so-called Mahayana tradition. So, in any way, these days I usually call Pali tradition, that's a foundation of Buddha Dharma. Then Sanskrit tradition further develop, extensively use reasoning. So Nalanda tradition, truly academic sort of tradition. We extensively use reasoning, investigate. As a follower of Nalanda tradition, we never say yes. We always say why. That's important. So that makes differences. Now, Nalanda Sanskrit University, Sanskrit tradition, very much emphasis on reasoning. So, Sanskrit tradition, Nalanda tradition, extensively use logical approach. So many masters of Nalanda, they wrote number of books about logic and then philosophy. So these are very important. Sometimes I jokingly, you see, telling my sort of Burmese Buddhist friend and some Thailand, since we become very close friends, so I teaching them, you simply accept Buddha's word, not much use reason, so you have no teeth. So soft thing you can eat. Some hard things they cannot eat. The Nalanda tradition, very good teeth. So, like that. So now today, 21st century, I think just a faith is now outdated. Now must investigate through reasoning. Then you can develop the faith towards Buddha, Nalanda tradition. On top of that, now today, the scientific sort of way of sort of thinking, investigate, experiment. That's exactly Nalanda tradition. Buddha himself, as I mentioned earlier. Marve, losung, te losung. So therefore, now we are 21st century. I think science further develop, continuously develop. So the Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, very much sort of close with modern science. So therefore, now last 40 years, I have sort of serious discussion with a number of scientists, 4 fields: cosmology, neurobiology, and physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. In these fields, when we discuss, particularly in the field of psychology and philosophy, as I briefly mentioned, you see, since we very much emphasize these things, so number of scientists they very much appreciate the Buddhist psychology. And as I mentioned earlier, quantum physics, these things. So now we are 21st century. Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition will go side by side with the modern science. So this way, Buddha Dharma will remain another 2-3 centuries. Just a faith, Buddha, Buddham Shanam Gacchami. And then, difficult. I think 1 or 2 generations then may disappear. But through reasoning, it's a mutual sort of helping modern science. Through that way, Buddha Dharma, particularly Nalanda tradition, will remain another, I think, 2 centuries, 2-3 centuries. And then I think the whole world, due to global warming, whole world may burn. Then no longer person who practice Dharma. So then, no question, Buddha Dharma remain or not. Human beings themselves disappear. Then time come, we have to think, reborn another galaxies. Another galaxies, I don't know whether you say the group Tibetan or Vietnamese or Chinese, I don't know. Entirely new human being. But the human brain, these I think remain same way. So now, study is very, very important. I always now expressing, we Buddhists should be 21st century's Buddhist. Study and analyze. And mutual sort of, how to say, the learning, science, and Buddhist teaching. Go that way, we become 21st century's Buddhist. The text which I think you used to study. If there is, I think the Chinese translation there, the mula, madhimika mula karika, tsashirab, gobuluruki, kei nan yare. And then the Chandakirtis and Umanjuba. In Chinese language now these important texts available. Even before translation, in Tibetan translation take place, already available Chinese translation. So I think in Vietnamese language also, I think Nagarjuna's main text, I think available. So you should study. At the initially difficult but often read, think. Then if possible, it is someone explain. Then these texts, very important. I myself, almost daily thinking and occasionally reading these texts, very, very helpful. These texts is actually sort of, the instrument to transform my emotion. Very good. So you should pay attention, study. Not only prayer, but study. We Buddhists, particularly follower of Nalanda tradition, should consider yourself as a student of Buddha or Nalanda master. And then Shantadeva's book, Kasa, Buddhist Avatara. Is it available in Vietnamese, Shantadeva's book?
Yes.
Have. So these two books are, to me, the most important two books. The Shantadeva's book explain about altruism, how bad anger and selfish, very harmful for our own physical health. Then the opposite, altruism. The Shantadeva's book, is, my teacher also used to say, that's the best book about practice of altruism. It's very true. Since 8th century he wrote, since then up to now, 21st century, that book remains best book for practice of altruism. Okay, so you should study. And the Shantadeva's book, the sixth chapter, explain how bad our anger. Then 8th chapter, how bad our selfish motivation. So very useful. Then the philosophical field, Nagarjuna's Madhyamika Mulakarika is best. So these you should, pay more attention. Since you already have in your own language, so no problem. So you should study. Now, I, as a student of Nalanda tradition, now 84-year-old, but still I study. And mainly analytical meditation, thinking, daily basis. That really very helpful. I think firstly, your deeper understanding about Buddha's teaching, mainly altruism and shunyata. Very helpful. Then meantime, more study, thinking, every day, thinking, study, is sharpening our mind. So, 84-year-old, my mind quite sharp. So through study. This study, not like study about a history book, not like that. A study about our mind, whole system of our emotion. Then the reality, like quantum physics, there's big differences, appearance and reality. Most destructive emotion based on appearances. So the antidote of that, we go deeper reality than nothing. So all destructive emotion based on appearances. When we understand deeper level, then that sort of appearance now no longer something sort of absolute. So all negative emotion very much based on appearances. Now quantum physicists also now begin to feel that, particularly some Chinese quantum physicists, they begin to feel once you study that, then they sort of strong grasping on the basis of appearance is reduced. This is exactly Nagarjuna mentioned. So now, that Buddhist sort of text, which translated from India, we Tibetan, we have about 300 volumes. So since now, I think more than 20 years, you see, I suggest some scholars, we can make distinction. Because distinction is where? Categorize 3 parts. First, science, mainly science of mind. Then also it's a science of particles, these things. Then second, philosophy. Then third, religion. So we compiled 3 parts: science, philosophy, religion. Religion for Buddhist. The philosophy and science is an academic subject. So we already translated into Chinese language. We also publish. And then Vietnamese not yet. Not yet. Now that's your responsibility now. you should translate. So you see, that book about science, Chinese translation, so reach some university in China. So some professor, after they saw that sort of text, they felt Tibetan Buddhism is true Nalanda tradition, and that tradition is a very scientific religion, they express. So now, I think Japanese translation starting. English translation, of course, there. Then Russian translation. Now I think already beginning, like that. So these books useful about science of mind and combination modern science and Buddhist science, like that, quite useful.